Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
As usual, we'll kick off with a visit to the monkey farm.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Welcome once again, sir, to the monkey farm.
Love it.
Do step inside. I've got a mixed bag of bits and bobs for you this week. I've got news of another great TV show in the offings. I have also got some news about a band that we both regard very highly.
Oh, okay.
And obviously I'm going to have to talk about that wonderful picture that I shared on Facebook at God knows what o'clock in the morning it was when I put it out.
Yes, I know the one you mean.
You do know the one I mean.
Yes, I do.
Let's start at the top. Fox have picked up the licence for a new TV show called Lucifer.
Ah, wonderful.
It's a character that I'm not very familiar with, but
Yes.
you've told me bits and bobs about
I
this.
have, yeah.
Is it a Vertigo comic? Is that correct?
It is Vertigo, yes. Lucifer first appeared in Sandman, as written by Neil Gaiman.
Mm-hmm.
But then, after Sandman ended, Mike Carey wrote a spin-off title focusing solely on Lucifer, who is effectively the devil, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with hell. He sort of walked away from it.
He resigns his throne.
He does, indeed.
He's bored with being the Lord of Hell.
Yes.
So, where would you go if you were bored of being the Lord of Hell?
Well, read all 75 marvellous issues of Lucifer and you shall learn, sir.
Or you can just listen to me right now and I'll tell you. He's up in sticks and he's off to LA, where he puts his roots down there to help the LAPD punish the criminals of La La Land. I like the idea of that. I think it sounds absolutely phenomenal.
It's a cracking series. There's some great artists on board. It's very, very well written by Mike Carey, who I haven't mentioned in this podcast, but mentioned in our previous one, is the uncle of a friend of my wife.
Name dropper.
Absolutely. I was reading his book, and funny enough, Laura was chatting to my wife, and my wife just happened to say, "Oh yeah, Graham's reading a book, The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey," and Laura went, "Oh really? That's my uncle."
I'd like to meet a girl with all the gifts.
Yes, indeed. Not at this age, you wouldn't, trust me. And it's a fantastically written, great series.
So it ran for 75 issues,
yes.
The original comic.
Yes.
So that's all contained. It
Yep.
never went elsewhere after that. Did he cross over into any other?
Not as far as I can remember, but Vertigo Comics really did.
No, okay.
They were very much self-contained. So.
Okay, well, I for one like the idea of that. As I say, it's not a character that I know very well, but I mean, this looks like it's pegged for 2016 to fill the 2 vacant spots that will be left by the cancelled shows The Following and Backstrom.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what Backstrom is, but
No.
I did see The Following, and I think cancellation is probably the best thing for it.
The thing with The Following is season 1 was just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Season 2 almost became...
I've not seen season 2.
Humorous. It became a parody of itself.
Yeah.
Literally, it was almost like an airplane version of The Following. And then 3 kind of got back on track, but something happens in 3... about 2/3 of the way through that does make you think, how are they going to continue with this then?
I mean, for me, I never went past season 1 because I found that anything with Kevin Bacon where he doesn't dance doesn't succeed to me, or is not on a bed having an arrow pushed up through his neck.
Through his throat, yes.
But anyway, I digress on that. Next up, sir, who are we going to see in June?
Blur.
We are going to see Blur.
We are going to
this
Hyde
is only
Park.
a little. This is only a little tiny tidbit of news, but I thought it was such a sweet bit of news that I wanted to share it with you and our listeners.
Go on.
Now, during the 90s, there was a kind of a pitch battle between 2 bands, wasn't there? It was
Blur and Oasis.
The Blur and Oasis wars.
Absolutely.
Now, Blur have just released a single from the new album called Lonesome Street, which I have heard, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's a really, really, really tight song. Really, really well written, brilliantly performed. Now, Liam Gallagher has described this as the song of the year. Yeah. That's shocking, isn't it?
Noel, as yet unavailable for comment.
No, unavailable. But this is like human sacrifice, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
We've all grown up since then, Scott. This is 20 years ago, the whole Britpop battle, 1995, and I think we've all grown up, we've all moved on.
Is this the sign of Liam Gallagher fully growing up now?
No.
It's not, is it? He's still going to be a tit, isn't he?
No, he said that to piss Noel off.
Yeah, you're probably right. As I say, this is not grand news. I just thought it was quite a nice, sweet piece of news. Yeah, we like that a lot. Finally, in this well-kept monkey farm of mine, We are going to talk about beautifully trimmed monkey farm, sir. We are going to talk about the cast pick reveal of the Suicide Squad.
Yes, and didn't it look good?
It does look good, doesn't it? It does look really good. So
which you put on our Facebook page about 20 minutes after it was released by DC.
Because that's just how I roll.
So therefore, anybody out there who's not liking our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geek-Minded Fools, please do, because we tend to be very, well, by we, I mean Scott tends to be very quick off the mark with these sort of things, and you'll probably see it there before you'll see it anywhere else.
It is very much fastest fingers first in this game, isn't it?
Indeed.
I'll run through very briefly who we've got there in the picture. We've got Slipknot, Captain Boomerang, Enchantress, Katana, Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Killer Croc, and El Diablo.
Looks good.
They all look fabulous, don't they? In particular, Adidwale Akinue Abajar.
Hell of a Scrabble score.
Hell of a Scrabble score, indeed. The Killer Croc makeup looks really good. I'm liking the look of him.
Yeah.
But obviously, when I first saw the picture, I was like, that's a great picture of Harley Quinn. Who the fuck are the rest of you? Margot Robbie does look phenomenal.
You were like, hang on, there was other people in the photo?
Yeah, when I put it up on Facebook, I think all I literally put was, well, hello, Harley.
Hello, Harley.
That was it. And guys, hi. But she looks phenomenal, doesn't she? She looks really, really good. And
they all do, across the board.
Yeah, very much so. I like the fact they've not put Will Smith dead centre there. And Harley's got this lovely little smile, with the handcuffs draped over her shoulder. And what's really nice is her creators, because obviously she came from the animated series, didn't she? Yes. She wasn't a comic book staple. No. Her creators, Paul Dini and
Bruce Timm,
have now come out and said, yeah, we like her. We think she looks great.
Yep.
Obviously you're going to be worried when your creation is kind of given new life elsewhere.
If I'm honest, I like Harley Quinn in the Harlequin outfit, the original outfit.
Yeah.
Obviously, the new version came from the video games with the blonde hair out and that sort of thing. And I realised that when you're looking at bringing any kind of superhero or villain to the big screen, you need to make it as realistic as possible.
Of course.
And therefore the idea of somebody actually dressing in a Harlequin outfit is, in terms of reality, not probably the best way to go, and therefore you can understand why they've got this new modern look, which most people seem to have taken to, and certainly recently seems to have been far more better represented at the cons than the original outfit. But I just love the original. You can't beat it for me. I think it's great.
I do. There's one particular young lady who does the cosplay every year at the con that we go to. I believe her name. I think her name is Carol Dean. I'm saying I think. I know her name's Carol Dean, and she's an absolutely stunning looking lady as well. But she does a brilliant Harley Quinn in the classic Harley Quinn get-up.
Wasn't she Tinkerbell this year?
She was Tinkerbell this year, yeah, and she looked equally as beautiful, I thought. A couple of things I'd like to point out about the picture, mainly about Harley Quinn again, is the detail on her is brilliant. I love her little shirt that says Daddy's Little Monster on it. Mm-hmm. And you can't really see it in this picture, but there's been some other set pictures that have been released on the back of her jacket, which is kind of like a sateen style, almost like a bowling jacket.
A sateen?
Sateen, I believe that's the material. Yes, it's not satin, it's sateen. I can eject you from this farm as quickly as you got in it. You know that, don't you? On the back of her jacket, it's emblazoned with the words "Property of Joker," which I really, really like. She's also got these lovely little tattoos on her legs, which appear to have been, obviously they're upside down, so it looks like she's done them herself while she's been imprisoned.
Right.
Love it. So yeah, very, very excited about Suicide Squad now. I think my excitement for it has built more, obviously, after seeing...
ramped.
Yeah, it's definitely been ramped, as you say.
What are your thoughts on the general reaction to the Jared Leto Joker photo? From what I've read, it's been a little bit mixed, shall we say. Some people liking the fact that they're obviously going on a different path, and others sort of worrying that it's straying too far from the classic look.
I think after Heath Ledger's iteration of the character, it was going to be very difficult to top it in performance terms, okay? Obviously, we've had Cesar Romero, we've had Jack Nicholson. They've all brought something different to the table. Mm-hmm. I love the look of Jared Leto as the Joker. I love the idea of the tattoos. And I love the idea of the maniacal look that he's got.
But even you said to me, not sure about the tattoo on the forehead.
The tattoo on the forehead. Yeah. I think may have been just a push too far.
Right.
But let's see how it plays out, in the film itself. I think it's becoming more and more obvious now that with the exclusion of Leto's character from this cast pick, he's going to be your antagonist in the film, I think.
I would think so.
I would say that he is the mission, if you like. One final thing I'll say, if you look at the background of this picture, obviously the prison they're in is called Belle Reve, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It's the Belle Reve prison for the whatever they're going to call them, maniacally insane. I don't know. Does this make Will Smith the Fresh Prince of Bel-Reeve? Should we wrap that up there?
Let's end that there.
Thank you for visiting the Monkey Farm once again.
I do have to say that I know that I've hijacked the Monkey Farm before, but I would just like to chip in a couple of extra things, if you don't mind.
As it's you, and you've been so patient listening to me slobber over Harley Quinn, then yes, please do. Please take the floor. Take the floor, Mr. Brian.
Thank you. I just wanted to have a mention. I'd spoken about it in previous episodes. Secret Wars, the Marvel event book of the summer.
Indeed, yes.
In which the Marvel universe and the Marvel Ultimate universes clash, and everybody has a big battle on the battle world to see who survives. And issue 1 came out recently, which we've both read.
We have both read,
and I thoroughly enjoyed.
As did I. It's quite, as I said before to you, it's quite breathless, isn't it? It's very action packed for a first edition.
Yes, and one thing that surprised me was that the original Secret Wars, various titles had the heroes going to this place in Central Park where they were whisked off to Battleworld. This one ends with them being whisked off to Battle Wars. So you've got a build-up. You've got a one issue, and it was a big old issue as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a lot in there.
There's a lot of characters crammed in there.
Absolutely. It doesn't hit the ground running. You actually do get some build-up to explain what's happening and why these people are there, which I really liked. But it was recently announced by Marvel that issue 1 was their highest single-day selling digital comic ever.
So it was the most sales on its inaugural day of sales?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. It is their most downloaded digital comic.
Do we know what sort of figures?
They haven't released the figures. They're obviously playing that fairly close to their chests. But big news. Obviously, a lot of people are excited about this.
It's a good read as well. It is a good read.
It certainly is.
Well done, Marvel.
Yes.
Well done.
Good stuff. And
right.
One more thing I wanted to say.
No, I said you could have one.
No, I did actually mention that I wanted 2, and you agreed it.
Well,
check the small print.
Yeah. Wind that back.
Obviously, last episode we were getting rather excited about the casting of Joseph Gilgun.
Yes.
As Cassidy.
Yes.
In the Preacher TV series.
Yes, indeed.
Now, obviously, Dominic Cooper's been cast as Jesse, and we know that there was 2 previous castings, which we'd spoken about in the last episode and previously.
Yeah.
I was watching Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the other day. Now, what I tend to do is, you know, they have this thing where they have a very brief title and then the names of the actors and actresses come up on the bottom of the screen, but there's still action going on. And therefore, no matter what show I'm watching, I tend to ignore them. But I was watching last week's episode, and all of a sudden the name Ruth Negga popped up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, hang on, she's been cast as Tulip.
She is indeed,
And I didn't know who she was. And I then checked it and realised that she's pretty much been in the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series since the very start, and hadn't appreciated this at all. I thought she was a completely unknown actress, and I've been watching it for the last 18 months. And I have to say, what an appalling piece of casting.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, see, I'm not familiar with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I only watched the first few episodes and I kind of tailed off from it, so I'm not familiar with the actress.
Right.
But she's not... No, she's...
She is dark-haired, she has black hair. I would say she's very Middle Eastern looking. Apparently, I think she's of Ethiopian descent and very much looks that way, sort of dark-eyed, dark-haired, dark-skinned. And why on earth would you cast someone? To me, that's an appalling piece of casting. A Tulip, pale, blonde-haired.
A Southern Belle.
Yes. I don't understand it. I really, genuinely do not understand it.
You're
and
right.
again,
she is an Ethiopian-Irish actress.
Yes, and apparently speaks with an English accent. So suddenly you've got... I mean, I don't know about the arseface casting.
Well, you're suggesting that she does that instead?
But
Because
certainly,
she is quite beautiful.
But the 3 main characters, all from this side of the pond, which sort of seems to be following with all these comic, you know, be it Constantine, be it Daredevil, all the main characters seem to be...
turn out...
We do.
Good stock in actors and actresses, do we not?
We do. But another piece of casting I saw, when I wanted to make sure that it was her, so I went on IMDb and searched for the Preacher TV series. And one piece of casting that I hadn't realised.
Okay, this is probably going to be news to me as well.
Okay.
She can't keep up with everything.
Was Sheriff Hugo Root. Now, do you remember who that is?
I do remember the character, yeah.
That's Arseface's father.
Yeah.
Do you know who's playing him? One of your favourites?
Go on.
W. Earl Brown.
Why do I know that name?
From Deadwood. Dan Doherty.
Is he really?
He's playing
Oh, what a great choice.
Sheriff Hugo Root. Now that's a good bit of casting.
See, whenever I think of him, I immediately think of Matt Berry. Because he does look a bit like Matt. Now, is he not an Englishman as well, or is he an American actor?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
But he's fabulous. He is a great actor. And he'll really fit in that universe as well, because he's got the look of that whole southern desperation.
Well, of course, anybody familiar with the source material will know that he's not in that universe for that long a period of time.
Yeah.
But
I am actually very pleased that you've brought up Preacher, because it does give me a chance again, just once more, as I'm going to try and do every episode, to push Billy Zane for hair star.
You're actually working for his agent.
I'm trying to. Do you know what? A couple of days after the last episode went out, which had a reference to Billy Zane, do you know what I found online?
Do tell.
Well, I say I found it online. It was on IMDb. It was a very, very short little teaser for the new Zoolander film. And you know who's in it? It's Billy Zane.
Billy fucking
Zane. It's a fabulous little trailer. It's just got Ben Stiller going towards who you think is Hansel. And then Hansel, obviously played by Owen Wilson in the first Zoolander film. And then as he turns round, he's got the blonde wig. But it's Billy Zane. And I like to think that was my doing.
Excellent. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Indeed. Well, that's the doors closed this week on the Monkey Farm. You've had your turn.
I have.
Out you go.
I'm going.
Let's crack on.
Right, now we shall move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
Scott, I think it's your turn.
Is it my turn to go first?
Week.
All right.
I think it is.
Well, sir, given what our main topic this week is, which I'm not going to give away yet, because, I don't want to spill the beans too early.
Although the title of this episode will probably have told everybody what it is.
Oh, do people read those, do they? I thought...
I don't know. Do people read anymore?
Do people listen anymore? I don't know.
Not to this.
You obviously are going to have your own quick hit this week, as you always do, but I'd like to share mine with you, which is something we've not done before. Okay, you can still have your own quick hit.
Okay,
but I'm offering you this as a joint quick hit, because I think this is something that very much defined the way we converse, the way we are towards one another, the way we are towards other people. In 1999, one of the most amazingly fantastic things happened, and I wasn't there at the start. You were, and you told me about it after the fact, so I was a late adopter to this. Spaced.
Yes.
The TV show Spaced.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I don't think we could have run this episode without having a little mention to it anyway, and we probably will reference it during the main episode.
Probably.
But Spaced was a TV show, as I said, that ran from 1999 to 2001. It only ran for 2 seasons.
It did.
Which I'm glad of. I'm glad that they never went any further than 2 seasons, because it didn't need to.
So many people ask the questions, but I would say, as an ending of a TV series, I've rarely seen a better ending. What a wonderful, wonderful montage of all the characters to show where they are, how they're moving on.
Or not.
Well, yeah, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I shed a tear at the end of that.
I think anyone with even half a heart would shed a tear at the end of Space, because it is just so brilliantly written, and it's so believable, even though it's so completely and utterly unbelievable. I mean, throughout the show, we had zombies, we had mock gunfights in pub alleyways,
we had comics, we had comic book shops.
We had Bill Bailey as the brilliant comic shop owner.
Yep.
Obviously, the main focus of the show were Jessica Stevenson and Simon Pegg as Daisy and Tim.
Yep. Who
were two, I'm not going to say down on their luck, but they were kind of in their 20s, weren't they? Didn't have anywhere to live, so they hatch a plot to pretend that they are a couple, so that they can get a rented property, which is obviously going to be a lot nicer than anywhere else they could get.
Yeah.
And it's from there, once they move into the flat, that we are then introduced to a whole pantheon of characters, such as Tim's best mate Mike, who's got a bit of a penchant for all things army.
Yeah.
I believe is he in the TA?
He is, yes. Well, no,
he's not in the TA. He's kicked out of the TA. I was just checking if you remembered.
Yes.
You have the amazing landlady Marsha, who is played ably by, you're going to have to remind me of her name, because I can't remember her name.
Oh! Yes.
We're going to play a little spaced quiz as well.
Oh,
see if we can remember
God.
names.
Julia.
Go on, you can do it. Julia Deakin.
Deakin, that's it.
As Marsha Klein.
Yeah.
You also had the downstairs neighbour, Brian.
Hello. But now, how many phone conversations to this day do we still start by one of us ringing the other when you pick up the phone and you just go, Hello, Brian.
Because it just has to be done.
It's still
stuff
funny.
Stuff like that wouldn't have been written if they didn't want us to actually repeat
still
it
funny.
every single day. Brian, played by Mark Heap, who is
wonderful
absolutely fabulous chap, who in fact did a really lovely little message for my friend Carlos when he was ill.
I do remember, yes.
Yeah, that was a lovely thing. But
we should point out, because you did skip over it, is that Mike is played by, of course, Nick Frost.
Of course, sorry, yes. Mike, ably played by Nick Frost.
Your best pal, Nick Frost.
My best pal, who I spent a lovely afternoon with at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was very nice indeed. And, of course, you can't forget Ada the dog as Colin. You know, what a brilliant portrayal of a male dog. You know, it's a female dog playing a male dog. I think that, you know, she knocked it out of the park. And rounding off the regular cast, you had Katie Carmichael as Twist. Kind of Brian's love interest.
Well, Daisy's friend. And Brian's, yes.
Brilliantly ditzy.
Yes.
I think one of the standout moments for me in the whole show is all of them at the club.
Yes.
And you get their little sub-names, if you like.
Twist definitely had hidden shallows, didn't she?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, it wasn't just those guys. I mean, obviously there is a huge amount of great British talent throughout the show. Peter Serafanowicz, Michael Smiley as Tyres,
Dwayne Benzie.
You shot me in the balls, Tim.
Clever boys.
But again, we could just sit here and
quote.
It
all
was
the space. Eminently quotable.
Because obviously it had been written and directed by someone who had a massive love for genre films and for geekdom in general, Edgar Wright.
What happened to all these people? You know, they did this and you've never heard anything from them since.
I know, they just disappeared, didn't they?
Fell off the face of the planet.
I know. It's a shame because, you know, I could have seen Peg in something like, I don't know, Star Trek.
Yeah, easily. Mission Impossible, he'd have been quite good as like a computer geek.
Yeah. I mean, Edgar Wright particularly, I think probably would have been very suitable maybe to direct something in the Marvel universe.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, you also had little appearances in there from people like Paul Kay, who will be better known maybe to people as Dennis Pennis.
Reece Shearsmith.
Oh
yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, you beat me to that one, indeed.
Sorry.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, Ricky Gervais is even in one episode, I think, at some stage.
Blue Tones.
The Bluette ones.
It's the Bluette ones.
What's the track? Blood Bubble?
Yes, that's the...
It's the instrumental track with the faux shootout.
But they were in the Robot Wars episode, weren't they?
Oh, they're in the crowd?
They're in the first rule of Robot Wars.
You don't talk about Robot Wars. Can you remember the name of the robot? Can you remember the name of their robot?
Oh!
Come on, you can do this. Your robot.
It's a Corporal...
You're close.
No. Oh.
You're close.
Go
That's a Private Iron.
That's it.
Was the episode called Saving Private Iron? Or was that like, no, it was just called Robot Wars, wasn't it? I think the episode. Yeah, throughout the show, obviously, you know, they touched on many different things. You know, there's one particular episode which pretty much gave birth to Shaun of the Dead, if you like, which was the episode where opens with Tim kind of so trapped into playing Resident Evil that he's hallucinating that it's all happening in his flat. And you get that was the point, I think, when you got to see Edgar Wright was a really good director. I mean, absolutely. You know, there's many moments throughout the show that are beautifully directed, but for me as a horror fan, you could just see that, you know, he was destined to do something in that genre and make it a success.
Absolutely, but it was very much of our generation as well. I mean, what I love was that they introduced an awful lot of the language that we were aware of and knew, like they would call each other Joey and that kind of stuff, which is a reference only our reference. You know, get off me, you Joey, and that sort of stuff.
He also gave us some catchphrases that are not acceptable anymore. And I find it really annoying that they're not acceptable. In particular, gay, things like that. You know, it's when we were at school, that was funny, but now it's just unacceptable. You can't say it.
It's very
Can I just point out that I'm not a homophobic? Neither is Graham. Graham and I, you know, have spooned before. But there are things like that you know it was very much, you know, focused towards us. One of the standout episodes is definitely the Phantom Menace episode. Tim's so heartbroken at how bad the Phantom Menace was. Him burning all his Star Wars stuff
in the Luke at the end of Jedi scene.
At the pyre. But the brilliant woman who plays the job seekers woman when he goes in the Phantom Menace. She knows he's very upset. The show, as I say, only ran for 2 seasons. I think it was around about 14 episodes. I think it was 7 episodes.
13, I believe. 6 in the first one, 7 in the second one.
Okay. It was just the perfect encapsulation, I think.
Have we mentioned Michael Smiley as Tyres?
We have mentioned Michael Smiley as Tyres.
Okay. Mark Gatiss, Kevin Eldon, they were the Matrix type
Matrix
blokes.
Guys, yeah, the Agent Smiths.
Absolutely,
yeah.
from the start of from episode 1 of series 2.
Miss Steiner, don't leave the country.
Indeed.
I won't. I haven't got a passport. But yeah, I mean, just brilliantly
written. What are we
written.
going to do? We're going to get our dog back.
That's the Star Wars episode, isn't it? Is that?
No. The Star Wars episode was series 2. That was episode 5 of series 1.
There's that lovely moment in one of the many episodes where they reference Star Wars, where they're trying to break someone out of somewhere, and they do the comms check on their mics.
Yes.
And like, right, are these working? Yeah, this is working. Then you just hear Mike in the background going, "This is some absolute pure genius."
That was the end of episode 6 of the second series, when they're going off to try and find Marsha, because Marsha's gone off, and then you've got Tim stood there with his arm around Daisy. The whole thing is basically the ending of Empire Strikes Back.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's right. I think it was very much the young ones for our generation. The young ones really hit home with people in the 80s. Space did it for kids and maybe 20-somethings in the 90s.
That's interesting, because the young ones was very much my generation, because bearing in mind that, okay, you'd have been 6, I was 14. I kind of loved them both.
I mean, more for a period of time when they came out, you know, they're kind of almost parallels, I think, in the way they
I was 30 odd when Space came out, but yeah, I mean, reference-wise, it was all there, and it was, as you say, that it was every kind of geek reference. It was very much sort of an English version of a Kevin Smith film, in as much as
I'll agree with that.
There was all the geek references are in there. It was born from a love of Star Wars and the Evil Dead and that kind of stuff. You know, it was our kind of people represented.
The final thing I'll mention regarding Spaced is it's a silly little thing, but it's something that I just genuinely love. I love any show that's got a character that you never see in it. So, you know, like you've got your Home Improvement with, is it Wilson who lives the other side, and you only ever see the top half of his face. Yeah. Whereas in this we have Amber, who is Marsha's daughter.
Yes, of course.
You only ever really see her legs or her knees stomping up the stairs.
Played by Jessica Stevenson.
Yes, and sometimes by someone called Theo Park as well. Okay. Maybe just for knee shots.
Was that any relation to Naira Park?
Very probably, yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but very probably. I just love the idea of there being a character throughout a show that you're never going to see.
You only hear.
Yeah. And of course, Julia Deakin's amazing voice screaming her daughter's name. Amber! Giving it some of that. Love it. If you've never seen Spaced, you owe it to yourself to watch Spaced. Watch Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and Jessica Stevenson at the beginning, when they were absolutely so much on their game. Their stars were ascending, and I don't think the ascension of those stars will ever stop, but this for me was the highlight of their career, I think.
Without a doubt.
People often ask, please go back and do another Spaced. I'm going to make an impassioned plea. Please leave it as it is, because it's perfect. But yes, there we go, Spaced. I wanted to share that with you because we obviously are very close friends, and I think a lot of our friendship was born out of that, and obviously many other things.
Yeah, but that was a huge part of it.
I wanted to share my quick hit with you this week, just to tell you how much I love you as a friend.
God love you, sir.
There you go. Done. What have you got for us?
Well, I don't think I really need to do one now, do I? Because I think we did kind of share that one.
Yeah.
So I don't think I need to do one.
All right.
The one I had, I'll save till next episode.
All right, fine.
That'll do us.
Why do I feel bad now?
No, not at all.
Well, enjoy that, because you don't get many presents from me.
It was a great one, and I think basically we probably took as long to talk about that one as each of us would have done one individually. So that's fine.
All righty.
So we shall move straight on to this episode's main topic.
When they got the ball, you know they won't drop it. The Geek-Minded fools discuss the main topic.
Right, recently the internet went absolutely crazy because it was a specific date, which was the 4th of May.
Okay, the 4th of May, I'm aware of the date.
Indeed, but of course known better as May the 4th be with you. And has suddenly become Star Wars Day. Now, when I was young, there was the joke about, you know, what did Darth Vader say to the Emperor the day after May the 3rd, May the 4th with you? And it was like, it was a vaguely humorous joke. And suddenly it's taken on this great big life where people are saying Happy Star Wars Day and shit like that. And if I'm honest with you, I fucking hate it. It drives me nuts. Everybody puts up their stupid Star Wars jokey pictures and happy Star Wars Day, and everybody's saying May the Force be with you. And it's all over Facebook. I know that I'm a geek and I should be embracing this sort of thing, but frankly, it pisses me off.
And that's a wrap on Geek-Minded Fools this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to all the episodes, and goodbye. I agree. I do agree with you. The whole May the 4th be with you, it just sounds like someone's got a lisp.
It just... I don't know. But anyway.
There should be a day to celebrate Star Wars, and that should be its anniversary, the day it was released.
Why do we need a day to celebrate a film? We don't have Ghostbusters Day, we don't have Back to the Future Day, we don't have Blade Runner Day. Why do we need Star Wars Day? If you like Star Wars, any fucking day of the year, jump on Facebook and say, do you know what? I just watched Star Wars and I fucking love it.
So what we're saying then is, every day is Star Wars Day.
Absolutely. Isn't it just, though? Isn't it just?
It is indeed.
But
with that in mind,
being that it was Star Wars Day, I thought, do you know what? As a main topic, we kind of covered the prequels in our previous incarnation, but we haven't touched on anything Star Warsian.
We haven't
in this one. So
we haven't.
I thought, do you know what? Why don't we? And maybe we could do it film by film as well. So, but obviously the original trilogy, you know.
I like the fact that the opening of this episode is us spitballing what episodes we're going to do. This is a clever way to fill airtime, Graham. I like it.
It's very good. So, we'll start from the very beginning. Star Wars, or as it's obviously become subsequently known, A New Hope. But to me, it's always Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Yeah, the first one. Now, bearing in mind that when it came out, you were 1.
I was 1977.
So you wouldn't even seen it at the cinema.
It would have been this month as well that it came out as well. It was the 25th of May, 77.
Well, of course, the thing is, over here, we didn't get it until the start of 78. We had to wait nearly a year.
And do you know what my very first exposure to Star Wars was?
Go on.
And I think this will be something that kind of resonates with you. Do you remember Epsom Market?
I do, the indoor market.
The indoor market.
Yes.
Okay, I was born in Epsom, a very, very posh area in Surrey. Yeah, it seems to have skipped me over, I think. But we had an indoor market called Epsom Market, and there was a particular trader there called Dave, who also ran Dave's Chain Store Seconds. Do you remember that?
I remember Dave's Chain Store Seconds.
Now, my very, very first memory of Star Wars is walking past when he had the stall on the indoor market, and he had an old CRT TV.
Yeah.
And he was playing
it. Selling hooky copies.
Yeah. He was selling pirate VHS copies of Star Wars. And I've still got it. I've still got my pirate VHS copy of it. There you go. But yeah, that was my first exposure to Star Wars. I can always remember it was the trash compactor thing that was playing in the market. And I stood there just kind of looking up at it. And I can't even remember how much he must have charged my mum for it. But first time I saw Star Wars was pirated. Don't know what that says about me.
I was 8 when it came out and 9 when I finally got to see it. And yeah, I went to the cinema. I went to Walton Odeon. My dad took me on a Friday night, and I know it was a Friday night for reasons that I'll come to in a second. But I can remember going in there and they were selling Star Wars ice lollies. This isn't when they sold food in the foyer. The woman with the tray, you know, the albatross,
wolf little chips, get mine up there, lovely,
would come down and stand at the front, and she sort of walked down, stood, and it turned on a little light, and everybody went down. But the thing about these Star Wars lollies was, I think they were made by Lion's Mane.
You know what? I think I know what you're going to say.
They gave away a C-3PO or a Darth Vader, just a cardboard mask.
Yeah.
And I was just desperate for one of these. And I said to my dad, can I have a lolly? And he said, yeah, sure. But he was still sat there. So I said, are we going to get one? And he was like, no, she stood down the front on that side. In a minute, she'll come and stand down the front on our side. And I'll go and get you one. So I said, okay. And anyway, she still stood there and stood there and stood there. And people are buying them. And then eventually everybody comes away. And she starts walking back up the stairs and just goes out the back door. So I've gone, Dad, she's gone out the back door. And never seen my dad move so fast. He cut his chair, sprinted after her, and then came back in with my Star Wars lolly and my C-3PO mask. And I dared tell him that I actually wanted the Darth Vader one. But that C-3PO mask, I kid you not, stayed on my wall. Now, bearing in mind that I was living at a place that I lived until I was 18. And it stayed on my wall until we moved from that house. I had that little flimsy cardboard, well, not even cardboard, like very
holes cut where the eyes
absolutely,
are. Yeah,
yes.
And the little bit of elastic that goes around the back.
Well, obviously mine didn't have elastic. I literally glue tacked it straight up on my wall. And I remember just being blown away. And I remember just various bits where you're supposed to be excited. You know, there was a general fit, and this is sort of, you know, this is the 70s, 60s before everybody cheered and clapped and that sort of thing. But you could just sense the excitement of the whole place. And then we left. And in the foyer, they had a bit selling sort of various Star Wars merchandise. and they had these stickers. And I said to my dad, "Oh, can I have a Stormtrooper sticker?" And he said, "No."
No, you've had an ice lolly.
Indeed, that's
Oh,
exactly
really?
what he said. He said, "You've had an ice lolly, you got your mask, you don't need a sticker." So he took me home, and I cried all the way home. And bear in mind, my mum and dad had split up by this point, so he dropped me home. And then the next morning, my mum had to ring my dad and just said, "Your son has been crying all night that he didn't get a Stormtrooper sticker." And later on that afternoon, on the Saturday afternoon, he knocked on the door and said, "There you go." And he'd driven all the way back to Walton Odeon and bought me a little. And I still remember it to this day. And it was on the back of my door, stuck on the back of my bedroom door. And it was a little picture. It had the Star Wars logo at the bottom. And it was sort of a shaped thing. And it was a Stormtrooper firing his laser gun.
What a dad.
And that is my lasting memory of that. The ice lolly and the Stormtrooper sticker.
And it's obviously still very impactful in your life, Star Wars, because I know for a fact right now on your washing line there's a Star Wars t-shirt that says "I am your father" on it.
This is true.
Yeah,
yes.
so I mean, it's...
Although that was bought for me by my children for Father's Day a couple of years back. So
just to show that they've got excellent taste as well.
they have indeed.
Star Wars as a film is just a fabulous piece of work, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing.
It really
Absolutely amazing.
The only thing that always confused me is how cocky George Lucas was to say, "Well, here's the last 3, because I'll get round to making the other 3 eventually, and they're going to be awesome as well." So
Well, that happened subsequently, of course. Now, Star Wars came out, and it wasn't called Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, it was called Star Wars, and that was it. And bearing in mind that when they were making it, all the actors have said subsequently, "We thought this was an absolute piece of shit."
yeah.
And,
Just a
you know...
Saturday morning picture sort of thing.
Precisely. No one took it seriously. It was very much a B-movie, and, you know, Alec Guinness famously hated it. And
I
therefore,
believe he said hubbub, 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 hubbub.
I think the expectation wasn't that great for it, and it was only obviously when it came out and became one of the, if not the highest grossing films of all time, that suddenly Lucas thought, okay, I did have a plan to do more, so now I know that I can, and therefore he sort of formulated this thing around it. But the idea was always that it was going to be 9, which of course now it is going to finally break out to that. But the idea was that the original trilogy was going to be the middle trilogy of
a much grander
yes,
scale of
a trilogy
story.
of trilogies.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
And so yes, this wasn't the last 3. This was the middle 3 of
And there's always a lot of talk about the Star Wars films being based on works of people like Kurosawa.
Exactly.
I think the first Star Wars is based on...
Seven Samurai.
I think it's actually Yojimbo that it's based on.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But, saying that, I remember being at a pub quiz once and putting Seven Samurai as the answer. And I got it wrong.
There you go.
It was Yojimbo. That's the only reason I remember that.
Okay.
Every character in it as well is just so brilliantly written for its genre. You know, you've got the farm boy, you've got the rogue, you've got the walking carpet, and you've got your kind of your comedy relief with R2 and 3PO. For you, when you first saw...
I noticed you didn't mention the princess. She's sexist.
Well, she comes into it later. Oh, I nearly said something really rude.
He's
then.
a sexist.
I am. I'm extraordinarily sexist.
Misogynistic.
And deaf. God, you always throw me. When you first saw it and you walked out of that cinema, who was the character you wanted to be?
Han Solo, of course. Everybody
okay.
wanted to be Han Solo. And that's what pissed off Mark Hamill, is that he thought he was the star of the film and all the kids wanted to be Han Solo. No one wanted to be the... Boy, that kid's a whiner.
I've just got in, when you've said that, I've just got in my mind that little scene where he does this little thing where he kind of goes and puts his tongue in his cheek like to go, huh, check me out. It's like, no, everyone wants to be Han Solo, dude.
Yeah.
For me, I wanted to be...
C-3PO.
I wanted to be Chewie. Chewie was my favourite character when I was growing up. I thought he was absolutely amazing. I was more amazed at the fact that a man could be that tall. I remember the first time I saw...
It wasn't a man, it was a Wookiee.
Of course it was a Wookiee. Of course it was a Wookiee. It was a walking
What are you
carpet.
talking about?
Am I going to break your heart here by telling you what I'm going to tell you? Because I remember the first time I saw images of Chewie without his mask, as it were, of Peter Mayhew, and just being...
Sorry, Chewie had a mask of Peter Mayhew.
I think we should probably skip over this bit because I don't want to break your heart.
I don't understand.
You know Star Wars? You know they're not all real people, don't you? You know it's not a documentary?
No.
This is going to be harder to explain than it's going to be worth. So, Chewie, anyway...
Anyway, you saw Peter Mayhew
I saw Peter Mayhew without his
yes.
mask on, and I remember just being amazed at how someone could be so tall. Darth Vader as a character as well, obviously very big in stature. I don't know what it was with me and tall blokes. Maybe that's why I hang out with you, because you're quite tall. Maybe I've just answered a question that's been burning in the back of my mind for many, many years.
I am your Chewie.
You are... Indeed you are. So you obviously wanted to be Han Solo. I wanted to be Chewbacca, which is pretty cool because that would have meant we'd have been best buds at an early age.
Simpatico.
Again. Simpatico. What a lovely word. What does that mean? What does simpatico mean? Oh, connected. Meshed. We like that. For those of you, obviously, who can't see, which is all of you, Graham just did the meshing hands together thing, which was quite theatrical. So, Lucas had worked on, obviously, a couple of films before this. The American Graffiti, which obviously where he met Harrison Ford, and THX 1138.
1138.
1138, however we want to say it. Which, obviously, another kind of sci-fi dystopian future thing. Do you think that Star Wars as a film shaped the way other sci-fi movies were made, the way they're marketed, the way that they're...
Without a doubt, certainly in terms of marketing, I think that even ongoing now, you don't bring out anything without already having the lunch boxes and
the toy line,
the action figures and that sort of thing. Because, of course, back then, they completely dropped a bollock on the action figures and therefore had to have the early bird kit,
right, yeah.
didn't they? Whereby you actually paid for a bit of cardboard that said, when we bring out the figures, you can have these ones. Yeah. It obviously, exceeded anybody's expectations. But yeah, I think very much. I mean, you think from when Star Wars came out, how many blatant rip-offs you suddenly had across the board. Everything was very Star Wars-esque. And it had a huge impact, not only on cinema, but on culture in general, on a scale that had never been seen before.
Villain-wise in the film, obviously Darth is our main kind of focus, isn't he? But
yes.
I think it'd be remiss of us not to give a brief mention to Peter Cushing, who absolutely petrified me when I was little. I thought he was just the most petrifying looking man. For him to be kind of the... who was he? Admiral...
Grand Moff
Tarkin, that's right. Conversely, I like the fact that when he was on set, obviously filming these very serious scenes, being very, very evil, being this awful dictator, if you like, for comfort reasons...
He used to wear his slippers.
He used to wear fuzzy slippers. And I just, now, whenever I look, now knowing that fact now, I can't look at him and be threatened by him anymore, because he's got his bestie Sundays on. He's got his,
I mean, I can remember Carrie Fisher at the time saying that it was so difficult to act angry or hateful towards him because he was just an absolute gentleman.
I've read.
And just a lovely old man. And she was saying it was so hard to behave in that way towards him because he was an absolute gent.
He was a very chameleonic actor, if you like. I think he could handle the good guys and the bad guys, as it were. He could play a very convincing bad guy and a very convincing good guy. As he played Van Helsing.
Being the age that I was, this was his first piece of work that I'd seen because I'd never seen any of the old Hammer films.
Which I used to love the Hammer films.
Quite. But bear in mind that I was 8, 9.
Yeah.
I'd never been exposed to them. So to see him and as you say, he does play it stone cold. Very good.
Also, as well, I mean, with the villains like Darth, it's amazing how...
Darth, you're on first name terms.
Oh, yeah, me and Darth. Me and Darth, yeah, we're definitely on first name terms. With characters like Darth as well, it's amazing how much they could put across by doing so very little. In particular, the scene in the round table meeting room where he chokes... is Admiral Piet, is it, that he chokes?
No, Admiral Piet's from Empire and
Is the Empire. He chokes one of the members of the crew, doesn't he? And it's just so brilliantly done. Just amazing how much they could put across just by showing Darth tightening his fingers. And it was at that moment that you realise, oh, that's the Force.
Just how powerful he is, yes. But I mean,
albeit the dark side of the Force, but
there's that great "I find your lack of faith disturbing" line.
Yeah.
Which it really colours him as one of the ultimate cinematic
bad
guys.
Yeah. I think that is the scene where we first are exposed to the Force, is it not? And that created such a huge, brilliant kind of mythos.
I can't remember whether that comes before the Obi-Wan Kenobi mind control scene. These aren't the droids you're looking for, with a wave of the finger. I couldn't honestly tell you which one of those came first. I'd imagine the Darth Vader scene came first, but they must be pretty close together because the way that the narrative goes.
These are the droids you're looking for?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alec Guinness, absolutely jaw-dropping as Obi-Wan, but wasn't a great fan of the film, was he?
Oh, he hated it. Hated every minute of it.
He was a clever man when it came to...
Cha-ching.
Clever man with a paycheck.
Yes.
Clever man with a paycheck. I believe, did he not license... He requested some sort of deal where he would be paid for every figure that was sold of him, of his likeness.
Oh, was it?
It was some sort of deal that he'd done.
I thought he just said he wanted... part of the back end on the box office.
That's right.
Rather than taking a salary up front.
You are right, but I think he did also do some sort of deal with the figures as well. The figures, obviously, massive part of my life. I had a whole heap of them.
Well, this is it. It was, the whole thing. It was when the country just went merchandise crazy, and I mean, I can remember collecting the bubblegum cards. Now, I don't know whether you're aware of the bubblegum cards, but, you used to get, it was a little blue pack with Star Wars on the front, and inside it you get a chunk of bubblegum and 5 cards.
Someone like that?
Tops, maybe.
Same guys who did the Garbage Pail Kids ones.
And you had different sets, they would bring them out, and the first set were blue, and I can remember getting card, and it was 66 in the set, and I can remember getting card 66, which was a Tusken Raider on a Bantha, and that completed my first set, and just being so excited. And on the back, some of them would have facts about Star Wars. There was a picture where you could put them together, and they made a big picture of Chewie.
Like a mosaic tile style picture.
So you had the blue set was first, then it was the red set, then I think it was the yellow set, then the green set. And again, this is when trading cards literally were trading cards, because you would trade them. You'd have your list saying, I need green 37 and green 45, and you go through and I need that one. And of course, the figures. I mean, the first figure I got was Han Solo. The second one, for reasons unknown, was R2-D2. I think it was because we went to the shop to get one, and all they had was R2-D2s left.
I think they were the first two I got were R2 and 3PO.
Right, okay.
First figures I ever had.
And just going out with friends in the street, and they would have Luke and Ben and that sort of thing, and having the whole adventures. And even things like you had poster mags. You had a magazine that opened up into a poster. I can remember the first one had a really cool, it was one of the Ralph McQuarrie drawings of the X-Wing in the Death Star trench going along, and I can remember that being on the back and just being out and not knowing who it was by and what it was that I was seeing.
I remember having a beautiful collection of all of the Ralph McQuarrie artwork in like a folder.
It's a big old, that's right. They did portfolios for all 3 films.
That's right. Yeah, I remember having that. I remember my mum bought that for me.
And of course the comics. I never bought the American ones. I never bought American comics. It was always English ones. And you had Star Wars Weekly, which issues 1 to 12 were the adaptation, of course, splitting each of the 6 issues that were done in the States in half, and with sort of great backup stories, and then spinning off into the universe, and I still have the trade paperbacks of those, because to me they were just great stories. It's spinning out from the original story and having Han and Luke. I remember Luke on Waterworld and Han and his ragtag motley crew on Tatooine doing a job for someone. And to me that's what Star Wars is. It isn't just the film, it's all the stuff around it. And I can even remember I never had the original Star Wars soundtrack album. I had this sort of knockoff copy. I think the original was by the
London... buy it from Dave, did you, in the indoor market?
The original, I think, was the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and this one was by the London Symphony Orchestra. And it was Star Wars and other sci-fi themes or something. And it was, the second side was called A Stereo Space Odyssey, and it sort of had, the theme to 2001 and that sort of stuff. But at school, we were going to make our own Star Wars film, which we imaginatively titled Star Wars 2. And we actually used to act out the scenes from our film to the Star Wars soundtrack. So we had Han and Luke had to meet on Tatooine, and Han was attacked by a Tusken Raider. So that bit of music from the first film became, and it was, it just grabbed kids' imaginations.
We didn't have Xboxes and PlayStations and iPods and laptops. We didn't even have the internet.
No, precisely. And all this stuff, it's that means so much. And I was such a collector, as I am now, that, suddenly you needed all the figures and you needed all the bubblegum cards. And that became a huge part of it. And again, it became very much your thing,
As much as George Lucas, more often these days, is labelled with a little bit of hatred by some people for things that we won't talk about too much, i.e. the other 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You have to take your hat off to him for this first Star Wars movie. By taking something that was essentially a Saturday morning TV show, if you like, kind of affair, like a Flash Gordon-esque, sci-fi space opera, as I've heard it called before, which I don't like the terminology space opera, but we'll go with it for now. And creating this
what
amazing...
What does that mean, space opera?
I assume they mean soap opera set in space, space opera. That's what I'm assuming that terminology means. It's not a terminology I like to use, but I think it's quite a well-known terminology. It's a bit gash and a bit wank, really, isn't it?
I think it's shit, but there you go.
But yeah, you do have to take your hat off to Lucas for putting together that universe and making all those characters fit so well together.
Absolutely.
And that's the nice thing about those movies, is they do fit well together. The characters, you believe that they have relationships, and you believe that they are The whole hand shot first thing, it still sits in my mind, because when we first saw it, obviously that's how we know the character, and why you would go back and change it at a later date. I think this is where some of the hatred for Lucas has come from. But as I say, those.
I mean, fun enough, I would say, obviously looking at the special editions,
looking at them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I would say that the first film, nothing in there for that ruined it for me, apart from the Jabba scene. I would say that everything else in there kind of made me go, yeah, do you know, this is fine. You know, the Jabba scene was, particularly with the bit where he walks around him and steps on his tail.
Yeah. Because obviously that was taken from existing footage, wasn't it?
Precisely.
I'm never going to remember the actor's name, but Jabba was initially a humanoid, wasn't he?
Well, the idea was, because of course the Star Wars comic adaptation was written and drawn from the original shooting script, and therefore had a lot of the stuff. So it had the bit at the start with Luke seeing the battle up in space and going and telling Biggs and his friends about it. It also had Jabba visiting Han Solo at the Falcon.
He's green, isn't he? He kind of looks almost like Greedo.
He sort of shows him as this alien, and the idea was that it was going to be filmed with this person, and then they were going to put something over the top. Obviously not CGI, because they didn't have that then, but they were going to put something over that person to make it look, and then whether it was budget constraints or what, I don't know, but ended up not doing it, and therefore cut the whole scene. I didn't hate what they did in the special edition. The change they made. I thought the Falcon going out of Mos Eisley,
that was all very nice.
Was really good. I thought all the X-wings, when you see them going along, and the X-Falls opening and that sort of stuff. To me, it all looked really good. Never had a problem with that. And so him going back and tinkering, people criticise it, but I think it was because he obviously wanted to make it look better. The vision in his mind wasn't what ended up on the screen. But of course, that version is what is most beloved to those of us who saw it originally.
Yeah, I suppose people do always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not mine to fix.
No, precisely.
It's his. And if he wanted to do that, that's absolutely
to him
fine.
It was broken. To us, it wasn't, because we loved it as it was.
His vision had not been realised in the manner that he felt it could be fully fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Now, you picked up on earlier on the fact that I am A sexist, and B, a misogynist. But, sir, I've left her till last because she was quite clearly one of the most beautiful women on screen.
Absolutely.
Ever.
We all fell in love with Princess Leia. It was
just stunning. The Danish pastries on the side of the head kind of look, the beautiful flowing robe. Obviously, we'd have to wait a further 2 films before we'd see her in her beachwear, but wow, what a beauty.
That sort of, people have described it as a mid-Atlantic accent, because it sort of swings between very British and very American. But also, what was really starting to come strong then was having a very, very strong female character.
Yeah.
And I think, to see that and have somebody who was so ballsy, and, the conversation with her and Han Solo when they've escaped the Death Star, when she's sort of telling him how things really are, because he thinks, it's a piece of cake. A real ballsy character, and for someone who's a princess to be so hands-on as well.
This is it. She wasn't ballsy because she was a princess.
No.
She wasn't kind of,
spoiled ballsy.
Spoiled.
No,
she was just genuinely ballsy.
Absolutely.
She was, I will take you on, and I will win.
She was proper hands-on, yeah.
Very, very, and obviously, the heartbreaking scene where she has to witness the destruction of her home planet is, I think, all played really, really well, and she does look like she's going to well up in that scene. Which I suppose must have been difficult for her after what we spoke about earlier, her looking at Peter Cushing and just thinking he looked like a kindly uncle.
Yeah.
I mean, every performance in it is brilliant. One thing that always sits with me, and how terrible it must have been for Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader, sitting down in the cinema for the first showing of that with his family, whatever, going, hey, look, I'm on.
And hearing James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that must have been heartbreaking for him, because he didn't know, I don't believe, that he'd been overdubbed. Obviously, delivering lines in his West Country accent would have been rather difficult. And
of course, they have subsequently released the rushes with his voice coming out, and it is almost laughable, isn't it?
Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans.
Exactly.
Me love.
Bless him.
So yeah, I can only imagine how heartbroken he must have been, but he obviously realised very, very early on that it was a choice that had to be made. And James Earl Jones given us probably the most recognisable villainous voice, I think, of all time, really, Darth Vader. Not that James Earl Jones has been any slouch in his career anyway. He's obviously done other things apart from Darth Vader, but I think very much the most recognisable
Mustafa
villain.
from The Lion King.
Yeah, do you know what? I've never seen The Lion King.
Haven't you?
No.
You're kidding me.
No interest. I've seen the bit on YouTube where it says the word sex comes up in the sky.
How can you not have seen The Lion King?
Hakuna Matata.
Unbelievable.
I think that means... What does that mean? That means no worries, doesn't it, Hakuna Matata?
It does.
I know about the film. I've never bothered watching it. It just doesn't interest me, The Lion King. Boring. Fucking Lion King. What else have we got to say, Mr. Man, about Star Wars?
Now, one thing, of course, we can't talk about Star Wars without mentioning is the amazing score by John Williams.
Indeed.
Now, at this point, I think I'm correct in saying that the only sort of score he was really well known for was Jaws. And this was the one that took him to an absolute different level. And think about how this film would be without that score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that score, you know, and the opening scrawl of the text going up the screen. Yes. It's often imitated, never better.
Well, it's iconic, isn't it? And even when they had the first teaser trailer for The Force Awakens, the money shot was the Falcon flying vertically upwards, and then... And the whole thing, I mean, the scene at the end when they get the medals and the whole thing flowing through from the start of that scene, you know, when they're stood there and they sort of give the look to each other, you know, Luke and Han, and then they walk through and that goes right through to the end of the credits, and it's just, you know, I could listen to that again and again and again. It's just wonderful. It sort of makes your chest almost swell with pride to hear it.
Makes my bosom swell with pride.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was it you who was telling me that you'd seen that final awards scene or the medal scene without any sound on it, and it's just really eerie, isn't it?
It is.
So,
it is really odd. Yeah.
Obviously, you know, it'd be very stupid of me to point out to people how different things are without music, but if you do get a chance, watch that on YouTube because it is very amusing seeing these things.
I think it's called Soundless Star Wars or something like that, isn't it? But yeah.
Very, very amusing stuff.
Yeah.
So did John Williams do the Superman soundtrack as well?
He did, of course he did.
So can you just hum for me the Star Wars theme?
The trouble is, with you saying Superman, I've now got Superman stuck in my head and I can't think of anything else. Exactly.
That's why I did it, because they're not the same at all.
Star Wars.
Right, stop. Now do Superman.
Superman.
You know what? Well done, mate. Well done, because it is a difficult one.
And now
to do.
Indiana Jones.
Oh God, I don't know Indiana Jones. Oh, dun, 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 dun. This is for another episode. Our bad renditions of theme tunes. I thought I'd catch you out there with that, but no. Well done, sir. Extra star on your chart this week.
Okay,
a gold star. So I suppose we should very briefly touch on favourite scenes, favourite lines.
Favourite line, I know straight away.
Go on.
Great kid, don't get cocky.
Nice.
That's amazing. I love that. To me, that sums up Han Solo. Get the job done, but don't boast about it. Boast about it when it's done. Don't.
Mine's a Han Solo line as well.
Go on.
Mine is the whole wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her. I think that is just every inch the rogue, isn't he? He's a brilliant rogue. What about favourite scene for you from the film? I mean, I know it's obviously packed to the gills with amazing scenes, but is there something that stands out to you that just rocks your world?
I mean, it's full of so much great stuff. But if there's one bit that I really like, and I think sums it up, is the scene from when Luke and Han arrive with Chewie at the detention bit, and the guy goes, "Where are you going with this thing?" And that whole scene, if I can have it right up to the end of the trash compactor scene.
Yeah, you can have that.
I just think
it's technically 2 or 3 scenes, but you can have that as a segment.
But I love Han Solo's conversation with the guy at the end of the intercom.
Boring conversation.
Yeah, boring conversation anyway. Yeah. But okay, if I can't have all those, I would say the trash compactor scene. I love that
with the trash monster.
That's right, and the whole thing. But then them cheering at the end because it stopped, and 3PO going, "No, curse my metal body! I wasn't fast enough."
I don't know why, but more and more lately, whenever I think of 3PO, I think of Mark. I don't know why. Especially the curse my metal body. He does a particularly good 3PO impersonation. Okay. He does the whole because he's holding a thermal detonator very, very well. I think for me, sir, it's going to have to be the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Okay.
With Luke getting into a little bit of trouble with the 2 guys at the bar, who I believe are Dr. Ivanza and Ponda Baba, or Walrus Man as he'd been known on the toys. But the whole, he doesn't like you.
That's one thing that bugs me about it all, is how names that we knew growing up, suddenly being given, like, sort of Squid Head from Jedi, now has a name.
A specific name. Yeah, you are right.
When I was a kid, they were Walrus Man and Mr. Ugly.
Yeah.
And now they've got fucking names.
This is only,
that bugs me.
That's only through that universe expanding and them using those characters elsewhere. The two guys at the bar, they gave those guys a really good backstory, and it is quite.
I don't like you either.
Yeah, my friend doesn't like you. I don't like you either. It's just a brilliant.
I'll be careful. You'll be dead.
Yeah, there you go. That's how good it is. You remember all of it.
Oh, damn straight.
I'm going to give a final. I say I'm going to give a final because I'm assuming we're getting to the point of wrap on this particular episode.
I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, we could talk all day.
Yes.
But that would make for an exceedingly boring podcast.
Indeed. I don't think anyone's got that time on their hands to listen to us waffle all day. I do have to give a little honourable or dishonourable mention to what happened after Star Wars, which was the Star Wars Christmas special.
I think you find it's the Star Wars holiday special.
My apologies. The Star Wars holiday special.
Yes.
Have you ever seen it?
I not only saw it on telly back then, but I taped it on my little tape recorder and listened to it back again and again and again.
It is, without doubt, the worst
it's appalling, isn't it?
Of television history.
It is appalling.
Ever.
Yep.
Now, I think that's probably one of the only blots on the original trilogy.
Yeah, do you know what? The thing is, people joke about it and say that it's George Lucas losing his mind, but, to me, as a kid, I was lapping up
I bet you were.
everything Star Wars as anyone of our generation. And I can remember watching it and just loving it because it was Star Wars. The fact that in hindsight, 30 years later or 40 years later, you watch it and go, what a pile of shit.
It did give us two good things.
It didn't matter.
It did give us two good things. There's one particular bit in it with actress called B. Arthur.
B. Arthur from the Golden Girls.
From the Golden Girls. And she kind of runs the Mos Eisley Cantina, doesn't she? And she does a really cool song with this guy. And I can't remember the name of the song, but I always remember watching it and thinking, I really like that. I really like that. And also as well, it has to be noted, as terrible as it is, it has to be noted that this is where we got Boba Fett from.
Yes.
It's Boba Fett's first appearance in an animated sense, albeit much more friendlier towards Luke. Almost like an ally. He was painted in the original animated version of himself, but he would go on to become so much more.
Yes,
so very much more.
But that's for another podcast when we do Empire Strikes Back.
Indeed.
But all I can say about Star Wars is, for me and for my generation, and this is no overstatement, it changed our lives.
Yeah.
It gave us something to love, and I can remember just waiting for Empire Strikes Back to go, Star Wars 2 as we all thought it was going to be, and just waiting for that and the excitement, and then with Jedi as well. It was just, for those years, and you're looking at me from, and bear in mind, when Jedi came out, I was 14, so it was between the ages of 8 and 14. And I bought all the comics, and I ended up with all the figures, and there's a good story to tell, which I'll tell in the Jedi episode about what happened to all of those. And it literally took over my life. I was a member of the Star Wars fan club, the whole thing. For a 6-year period, it was nothing but Star Wars and football for me, but particularly Star Wars. And very few films not only had a cinematic impact, but had a cultural impact as well. They are few and far between, and I'm very lucky to have been the perfect age to be a Star Wars fan.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Our lives have been enriched and are better for it.
Yes, without a doubt.
So thank you, George Lucas, and your cast of space travellers.
Yep. Okay, I guess that's everything for this episode. So, from myself, Graham,
and myself, Scott,
thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.